Hello, everybody. Adam Parks here with another episode of Receivables Roundtable. Today, I'm with my longtime friend, Mr. Aaron Rose, who is with Venandi Systems. How you doing today, Aaron?
Great, Adam. Thanks for having me. Always wonderful to connect.
For those that don't know Aaron Rose, he has been a staple of the industry for as long as I've been doing this. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got to the position you're in today?
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Adam. So Venandi Systems, I started it just over a year ago with some great partners, and our focus has been providing high quality verified place of employments. And not all jobs are the same. Not all job types are the same. So, especially today, finding high quality jobs is more important than ever, and the resulting return on investment. So what the approach we've taken, I along with a great team, is let's look for those people that have good jobs and also have a propensity to be employed. So in today's job market, many of us are experiencing, what it's like to hire and these different things. What our focus is using that intel as well as the intel we've had from decades now of finding verified POEs, using those POEs ourselves for an ROI in the actual entire litigation process, judgment process, what you want to call it, combining all of that together to offer solutions that, one, are affordable, and two, have a great ROI for the people we work with. And I know that many are probably curious, the Venandi, the name.
I still love the name. I love the name.
I tell you what, if only I can remember how I came across it. A lot of research on my end.
Oh, I'm sure it couldn't have anything to do with a marketing company in a Latin dictionary.
It may have, I do not recall. But in the meantime, the beautiful nature of Venandi is it stands for hunter in Latin. So for all your viewers that I'm sure are very curious, that's how we got the name. And yes, Adam, thank you for your help.
Can I say we got lucky on that one? So, one of the things that you talked about here was about kind of the job market. And I know it's something that I'm hearing from across the industry in terms of the difficulty in hiring. And I think that as different states have had different requirements and changes in those requirements, in terms of the work from home, I think it's become more and more challenging for collection agencies, debt buyers, law firms to staff and to find high quality staff because it's such a transitional period right now. I was reading an article the other day that was basically saying that this is the largest movement of employment in human history, which is very believable based on the size of the population and just what we're seeing. I know when we were looking early on in COVID, call it March of 2020, DRN, or Digital Recovery Network, had released some information in one of their case studies talking about how they had seen roughly 15% of a new credit portfolio that had moved more than 50 miles within the first 3 months of COVID. So I find that to be interesting, and part of that I'm sure has to come from the work from home part and all of that. And I know as I've been experiencing the same thing as we've been going through growth, whether it be clients that are reaching out to us asking us to adapt or update their careers pages, they're running Indeed ads or running other LinkedIn ads or other types of things to try and find new people to employ, but also just trying to get really quality staff to even apply. And so, you and I were kind of talking a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced in terms of finding good people. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it's always interesting to start a business in let's just call it rough waters, shall we say, from whether it be, yes, and whatever's causing those waters to be rough. And of course, you're always surprised at what you find to be the challenges you didn't think you have, challenges you thought you might have, maybe you don't. But exactly that, it's finding the good staff quality candidates. Finding quality candidates in itself is difficult. Then whittling down to those that you actually want to employ, obviously it's a shrinking pool. So what we found as we go through this, and it's we're as I explained it, it's almost as though we're on the hamster wheel of hiring. We're constantly hiring and constantly sourcing for candidates and trying every different which way we can. The number one thing I found, and you hit on the head, is since COVID, it's a remote workforce. And it's those that were not working remote before COVID get a taste of what it's like. They don't want to go back to the office. And, you've got a lot of employers that feel like they need people in the office. You have a lot of employers that maybe from a regulatory standpoint need to have certain employees in the office. So what we're finding is that pretty much the first step to any hire, to any even interview, is they've got to know what is the potential for work from home, remote work.
So I don't think it's a totally negative situation that everybody is really pushing to this work from home. And I think eventually, just like supply and demand in any other aspect, supply and demand of employment will ultimately play the deciding factor in how things are going to happen and how things will unfold, many years into the future.
Yes.
Regardless of COVID or variants, when this is all said and done, what does the world look like in terms of finding new employees?
Exactly. And I think more than anything, life's about options. And this has created a number of opportunities for organizations and people that may be here in another 10 years. As I've said, this has sped up the whole process of remote work, whether for how long it sticks or how much it goes back to not, TBD. But in the meantime, it absolutely has afforded everybody involved the opportunity to engage in the workforce in a different way, engage in their companies in different ways. And not all are, great, and maybe not all are going to stick, but if nothing else, it is a fascinating time, and it is interesting. It's interesting to go circle back around. You're growing, we're growing. It's very interesting to have the opportunity then as the employer to see what it's going to take to find these people, see what it's going to take to keep them happy, and a lot of people throw out millennials, and it's workforce. I mean, that's who the workforce is, and we have a lot, always have. And what to your point about the remote thing is, they want remote, we give them remote, and it's working well, but there does feel like there's something a little lost not being together. It doesn't even have to be day in and day out. I'm not a form over function person, so I don't need to have a Monday morning meeting on this and this, and
I don't knock my Monday morning meeting.
I apologize to all you on Adam's team. Gosh dang. So the only thing worse than a Monday morning meeting is a Friday afternoon meeting.
And we don't do Friday afternoons. We do Monday morning. Just the leadership team.
You let them choose. And so, but so we are trying to engage our staff, as we keep hiring. So and we're hiring, we have mainly in Minnesota, but we now started to take some people on in Texas, and this will continue out. We have behind the scenes, with our partner out of Illinois, so they go in office, but they're still remote to us. So we go to them. We then, next week we're going to have get to know the newer folks, get together here. We're going down to Texas to spend some time with those folks. So it's that getting that personal element to it is it. And I think it's also probably because we're used to that personal element for all these years. And I used to fly 100,000 miles a year too, to go see everybody, and you miss that. And And then you wonder, well, how are they perceiving this, the staff today? Do they care as much? Do they not know what they're missing? You know, it's like air conditioning. You never had it, you're all right. You know, but once you have it. So I feel like I miss it, but maybe they don't. And so
no, it's that personal connection for those of us that are highly social. And you know, I think what we're gonna have to do, Aaron, is in the future come back and do a follow-up video on this. Call it 6 months, 12 months out, and
yeah,
just kind of talk about how this evolution has continued. You know, I think this has been a great discussion on a very important topic that's really
yeah,
having a dramatic effect across the receivables management industry. Being able to find good employees is always challenging, but being able to
yeah,
find good employees under the current circumstances is even more difficult. And I think the supply and demand curve in terms of employment is completely out of whack at the moment. But like any other supply and
yeah.
demand curve, it will find its elasticity and come back to normal at some point, I'm assuming in the fairly near future.
Whatever that normal is, right? And yeah,
Whatever
so
normal means.
yeah, and I think the number one takeaway for me in this discussion, as we go through this, is to be flexible, to be adaptable, and to not presume. You know, both of us, people watching this, we've all hired lots of people, but it don't presume that that model of hiring
It's still gonna work.
right, because that's like
I think
pushing
the
a rope up the
application of
hill.
technology will change the allocation of full-time employees across a number of organizations. So I
Yeah,
think we'll see more of that as well in the use of kiosks and other things. But I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of
not yet.
technology quite yet. We'll save that
Yeah,
for another discussion.
I
For
love
today,
it.
Aaron, I want to thank you really, for taking the time to chat with me. I always enjoy our discussions, and I know you and I could sit around and we have for hours and hours and just talk about
Yes.
a number of different topics around our businesses. And I look forward to one of those sessions again in the very near future. Now that we're all back on the road again.
Yes.
For those of you that are watching, if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below. Aaron and I will both be responding to those. If you have any other guests that you'd like to see me interview or topics that you'd like to see us cover, feel free to leave comments on that as well. We're always looking for new ideas in terms of creating content for the industry. But for now, thank you everybody for watching. And Aaron, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Adam. Great to see you, my friend.